Welcome to Devlog number 24 for efficiency. This is part 10 of the quest system, and today I believe I have fully finished off the quest system. I did a massive push today and got a ton of stuff done, so today's devlog is kind of going to be recapping all of that, everything that we did to improve the quest system, to finish it off, and to make everything come together in one nice, system. So overall, what did I do today? Well, we worked with a lot of different scripts, but the main one that we worked on is in our overarching island manager. No, not island manager. It is an island script. This is just what it's called. Now, inside of here, I made one command, like master frickin' function called quest check. Now, this one is what you're going to be calling no matter what you are, but it swaps what's happening based on who is calling it. That was a very weird way of saying it, but in my head, this was the easiest way to do it, so that's how I did it. I made a function with a switch statement that had your quest type index. So basically, if you're a quest of type 0, then you would call the case 0. I started speaking Irish there. I coded this in a whole separate section, which we're not going to get to today because I covered that in the last devlog. So if you want to check that out, you can go to the other one. But we did literally all of the other statements today, and they got pretty easy once I started getting into them. That's why I kind of just pushed through and finished them off. But if we go ahead and start it off, we can look at case 1. Now, what is this actually doing? There are two just generic values that you can pass into the function. By default, they'll be 0, but you can change them based on what you need them to do for your switch statement case. So for case 1, if we go over to Island Manager, we check what that is. That is minigame high scores. So we're dealing with minigame high scores. Our value 1 is what the player scored, and our value 2 is the index of what minigame they were playing. Now, this is how the function works. You will call this function anywhere in the code whenever something happens that may be related to a quest. For example, finishing a minigame. Every time you finish a minigame, you call this function and you see, okay, do we need to update any of the quest logic on the current islands that we're on? So what we do is then we have we have 3 nested for loops with your outer one just being your current island index, because obviously you don't need to search through every island. You only need to search through the quests of the island that you're currently on. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to check and see, okay, does anyone have the quest type that I'm looking for? If they are of quest type 1, then are they of the same index? So basically, if they are on this, exact what I'm looking for, basically what this one means is that they are on, they are of the high score minigame type. Sorry, it's 1 a.m. and my thoughts are kind of everywhere right now because I've been coding for the past 3 hours, so they're kind of all scrambled and it only makes sense to me right now, but I'm trying to break this down in the most cohesive way possible. So the 1 means that you're in a minigame high score, basically quest. All right, that's good. We want to go deeper then. We then want to check the quest rarity info. What this is what index of the games are you playing? So if you're index 0, that means that you're playing the first game that you get access to. If you're index 1, that means you're playing the second game you get access to, and so on and so forth. The third nested spot is actually just an if statement saying, all right, if our value 1, which we can check up here, is the score of what the player scored, if our score is higher than the cap for the task, the cap is what the maximum score you're looking for is, what you're trying to get above, then we can go into here and we can say, all right, as long as this is not already 0, as long as we haven't already finished the quest, we can then update it to fully complete this one. Now, it's a lot of logic, and it really only makes sense to me, but if you followed that, honestly, you should win a prize of some sorts, because my logic is kind of all over the place. Now, if you want to go check out the update quest function, that is over in Island Manager, and this is the other main one that is being called basically every time a quest event occurs. There's 2 different types, update quest and update quest manual. Update quest manual is only ever used for your streak tracker, and that's because in update quest, you're only ever subtracting by progress. And that's true for all of these quest types. If we go ahead and we look at the quest types that we have, we only need to subtract. For example, if you have fish donating, you're subtracting off the total. Minigame high scores, again, you're not subtracting, but you're basically, once you pass the amount that you need, you can just set it all to 0 because it's really an all or nothing type thing. Then on buying cosmetics, of course, it's either you've bought it or you haven't, so you're subtracting from 1 to 0. Completing number of tasks, again, is subtracting off of how many tasks you've done. Roll a certain number of bait rarity. You guys can see the thought process. Task streak, again, is the one that is different. For task streak, you need to be able to see, all right, if we have done a streak for 3 days, but then we miss a day, and then we're back to 1, well, we can't subtract again, because then that would show us on 4 days. So instead, we need to always be updating it to exactly what our task streak is. And over here, that's what we did with the update quest manual. This way, you can just set it to the exact number and makes it a little bit easier for that system. So if we go back over to Island Script and we scroll down to case number 5, you can see that this is the only spot the update quest manual is called, and that's because it's the only spot that we need it. The others can just use the subtraction version. Now, for stuff like gold gains, you just want to go ahead and put that into your spots where your gold occurs. So for us, that means we went into the resource manager script, which I honestly don't see. Where is my resource manager script? If we go down here and we go over here to gold manager and then we hit edit script, you guys can see over here that when we gain gold, there is now a section that should be what I want. Where did it go? Okay, this is actually really good because apparently I never actually updated it. So what I would basically do here, I'll show you guys the process because apparently I didn't do it. You want to go ahead and grab a reference to your island script. So we'll just do that. From there, what you're going to do is you're going to go into the gain gold function. You're just going to say island script dot quest check. Then we need to say, all right, well, this is task index 6. It is value 1 is how much we're actually going to be gaining. So we can just pass in amount to that. We don't need value 2 for this because if we go back over here, you guys can see that value 1 is the only one that has something, value 2 does not. So from there, then we can go back over to Gold Manager and we can say, all right, that looks good to go. We can go ahead and save it. And now all of our tasks should be working. That's actually really funny that I forgot to do that one. Because, you know, I said that all of them were done and then they were not. But hey, turns out I make mistakes sometimes. We're all human. So if we go back in over here, you guys can now see gain to do gold. That will actually just be 5 gold because I haven't set the values yet. Everything is default 5 gold. But what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and sell a fish. We're going to sell it. Oh my gosh, something is mad at me. The gold reference does not have a reference to island script. We're going to go ahead and fix that. And then we're going to try it again. We're going to go reset our data just because we had an error, so we don't want to mess anything up. We're going to spawn in some fish, and then we can go to our merchant. We can go ahead and sell him one of these for 120 gold coins. And over here, when we go back into this villager, you guys can see right here, it is now 120 out of 5. So it easily went over it. Now, what's interesting here is that that's not technically supposed to happen. I believe that that should actually stop at the number. So I'm going to have to, it's honestly fine. It's really not that big of a deal. I think it's fine. Anyways, the other things that would happen is, let's say, give me to do normal fish. So we want to give this man normal fish. Let's go ahead and spawn in a bunch of fish and hope that we luckily pull some normal fish. If we go back over to him and then we send him 5 normal fish, that system is fully working. Very awesome. If it says score over a certain amount in a mini game, then what you can do is you can go ahead and spawn in yourself some bait coins with your developer tools. You can go ahead and grab that. And then when you go over to fish with it, once you score above, obviously the score line is going to be higher than 5 because 5 is, again, the placeholder. But once you score above the amount that the villager wants you to, you'll get the prize for it. So we scored 700. If we go back over here, it will now display it as us having that task completed. Now, for complete to do tasks, he wants us to do 5 tasks. Let's go ahead and say apple. And then if we go ahead and finish that task, then something freaks out. That's not good. So it turns out I did the same exact thing that I did on the other one where I just did not put a reference to island script. So now that we have that reference set up here, now it should be able to actually go ahead and work. So if we go back over to this and we go grab this, and then we actually try to complete our apple task, I'm hoping that nothing is bugged here because of what we just did. So we're going to do another just to be safe. But as you guys can see here, we've done 2 tasks. And if we go back over to him, it now shows as 2 out of 5 tasks completed. We can do this all the way up until 5, and then he will show as completed there. So if we go back over to him, you guys can see 5 out of 5. If you try and complete more beyond the 5, it will not progress your progress. You will cap out at the amount that he tells you to do. I think that's the way that I want it to be done. Then if we have buy the fishing rod, you can go over to the merchant. If we sell enough fish and we get a bunch of gold, then when you go ahead and buy the fishing rod, I also updated this UI system. Let me know what you guys think of it about this as a random throwaway thing. But when you go ahead and buy the rod now and you go back over to this villager, you can see it finishes that. And if she says, give me to do fancy fish, then we need to go ahead and give her some green rarity fish. And as you guys can see right there, all of the quests are now done on the island. Tomorrow, I need to update the exclamation point system. That is still bugged. It should not be popping up because it's an old system that has not been revamped for a very long time. So we got to rework the exclamation point system, and then we need to revamp the exclamation point system for the merchant as well, maybe. I think that the merchant's chilling, actually. But then we also need to add in the boat tomorrow. Something to look forward to in the future if you're still listening to me rambling. The boat is going to be what takes you to the next island. Currently, the only way to get to the next island is to purchase all of the rat's stuff. And once you do, then you get a little button that says next island. What's going to be happening in the future is you're going to need to complete enough quests from the villagers in order to unlock the boat and be able to buy a token or buy a ticket on the boat to get off of the island and over to the next one. So it's a system that I think is pretty cool and is better than the old one I had and is a lot more immersive and a little bit more fun. But overall, that is me rambling for about 10 minutes on my quest systems that I've fully completed now. Just some more, UI stuff, some bug fixing to do, check everything out. But overall, that is the quest systems. I'm so happy that we're moving on from this. We've been on it for 10 days now. Almost 2 weeks, and I'm hoping to finish it before the 2-week bar. Of course, there's going to be a lot more small things popping up over the next few days, but we're going to try and iron out the kinks. We're going to try and get this stuff done, and we're going to try and move on to the next system. But overall, that's everything that you guys need to know about the quest system in Efficiency, the best to-do list app ever created. I hope you guys all have an amazing day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.